我们真的要 NG 啊，是不是？不可以这样啊，不可以。等下，我不会那个什么哎。这我们要讲看电话，开始这啊，
结束再拿个0毛，我们吧。
哎呦喂，这样的话，还是
对，一个人看的。
我们讲哦。
你们讲。
开始。
我说你这开始。
没有报告老师
很高。
算了，开始啊。这种尴尬的事情就我来做。
你刚刚开始天都是
OK 咯。
没人看到，没看到。
我们可以直接录这嘛，就
那什么意思？
就是录这啊，然后我们再放去 YouTube 那里。
他知道是来，
然后我们 Premier 来。
try 啊！
怎么又不要直播啊？直播啦你！
你自己讲啊！你讲啊你！
现在开始啊！不要笑场啊！
哦，好的。
Hi, I'm Ng Ya Sze.
And I'm Lim Chia Ern.
So today we are going to discuss about the task for our Pengantar Psychology subject, and I will talk about the first task, which is about the toy and some theories. So to start with, the Erik Erikson theories is about the development of psychosocial, and it is divided into 8 stages, and each of the stages will have their own crisis to be solved. So since Erik Erikson theory is very famous, and I'm not going to talk about it in detail. The 8 stages are, the first one is basic trust versus mistrust, autonomy versus shame and doubt, initiative versus guilt. The fourth one is industry versus inferiority. Next is identity versus role confusion, intimacy versus isolation, generativity versus stagnations, and the last stage is the ego integrity versus despair. So in this presentation, I'll be focused more on John Piaget's theory, which is about our cognitive development. So according to Piaget, our cognitive development is divided into 4 stages, and the first stage is the sensory motor stage, which occurs during one birth until about 2 years old. So in this stage, the babies will explore the world or surrounding around him through experience and also movement by their senses. For example, they want to see, hear, or touch, or taste something around them. So the interesting part in this sensory motor stage is the concept of object permanence.
What is object permanence?
So the object permanence is the meaning of the child knows the object is still existing even though it is hidden or blocked by something. So let's take this as an example. So this is the toy of a child. So when you put it in front of the child, he will grab it definitely, right?
Yeah.
So when it is blocked or hidden by something, there is research shown that the child below 1.5 years old will thought this toy is gone. But if the child is 1.5 years old to about 2 years old, they will know that this toy keeps existing even though it is hidden or blocked by something else. So the next stage is pre-operational stage, which occurs when we age 2 years old to about 7 years old. So Chia Ern, can you do me a favor?
Yes.
Let's think about our childhood.
Eh?
Have you ever played role playing or play pretend like you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're a patient or something else?
Yeah, when I was young.
Yeah, sure. So that's what basically what we do during our childhood. And according to Piaget, This is because the child at these ages is full of curiosity, and all those role playing can help them to learn more about the occupation or something and the world around them. So the children at this age also is very egocentric. And the egocentric means that they will think that the others will perceive the world like they do. And when they grown up a little older, they will undergo the next stage, which is known by the concrete operational stage. So children at this age, they can think logically and also will have the concrete cognitive development. So the children can now understand the concept of conservations, transformations, reversibility, and so on. For example, if the water of one normal glass is transferred into a larger glass, they will think that the water is still the same amount. And lastly, we have come to the formal operational stage, which is now I think we are having the formal operational stage. So in this stage, we can have the understanding of the abstract ideas and also hypothetical events and also some deductive reasonings, which help us to compare two statements and reach a logical generalizations. So back to the task that requires me to choose some toys for the given categories of ages. So I have chosen some small stuffed fabric balls and also radars for 6-month-old babies because I think that these two toys are big enough and will not cause any harm to the babies. And the sounds of the radars will definitely attract the attentions of the babies when the mothers shake it. And for 4 years old, I have chosen some simple board game and also some active games. While for 8 years old, I have chose some outdoor sport equipment, for example, bicycles and also scooters. And here we come the Q&A section. Do you have any questions for me, Chen?
How do you know that a child is egocentric?
Okay, so there is a task developed by Piaget, which is known as the Three Mountain Task. So it is like this, Three Mountain Task. Okay, so there are three mountains in front of the child and also the toy. Let's assume that this mountain is mountain 1, mountain 2, and mountain 3. So when the child is egocentric, the child will think that the nearest mountain to the toy is the first mountain and not the third mountain. Any question?
No.
Okay, so that's all from me, and now it's your turn.
Okay, so I'm going to discuss about the movie review, and the movie I chose is called The Good Will Hunting, and the main character for this movie is Will Hunting, and he is brought up by his foster father when he was young, and he had a traumatic and unhappy childhood as he was abused by his foster father and he was bullied by his peers at kindergarten. However, Will is a genius and he is a gifted genius with an extraordinary IQ, but his talent was buried because he was misled. So he blamed himself for his poor upbringing and he hated himself so much, and this became an obstacle for him to develop his personality normally. So after being released from jail, he worked as a janitor at a university called MIT, and he spent his free time drinking with his stepbrother and his friends. So when a professor of the university called Professor Gerard Lambrou posted a difficult mathematical problem, on a blackboard for his graduate students to solve as a challenge. Will managed to solve the problem anonymously, and his talent is discovered by the professor. So Professor Lambu decided to help these misled youths to utilize his talent. So one day, Will fight with a gang where a member of the gang is the bully of Will when he was at kindergarten. And was arrested because he attacked a police officer. So Professor Lambu, he arranged for Will to avoid jail time if Will agrees to study mathematics under his supervision and to follow a psychotherapy session. So although Will agreed to follow the psychotherapy session, he treats his therapist with mockery, and thus Professor Lambu has to seek help from his friend called Dr. Sean, where Dr. Sean is also a psychology professor at a university. However, Will also treat the same way as his previous therapist towards Dr. Sean, but at the end, Dr. Sean managed to let him open up by challenging Will's defending mechanism. So the first psychological theory found in this movie is the nature versus nurture. So nature refers to the genetic influence in shaping one's personality. However, the nurture refers to how the external environment affects one's personality. So in this movie, it is clearly shown that the external environment, which is his upbringing, affects Will's personality. As Will is abused since young and he was bullied at kindergarten, he feels that by using violent and aggressive is a normal and socially accepted way to solve a problem. This is shown when Will fight with his kindergarten bully by beating him as a revenge. The second psychological theory found in this movie is the Erikson stages of development. According to Erikson, personality develops in a series of stages which involves personal conflicts, where each conflict needs to be solved to maintain a normal development of personality. So as Will is a victim of child abuse since young, this will affect his four stages of development, which is the industry and inferiority. So at this stage, if a child is encouraged, so he will gain confidence and he will feel industry. On the other hand, if this child is constantly being scolded or being rejected, he will gain a sense of inferiority. So as Will is being abused since young, so this made him feel inferior and unworthy. As a result, Will become defensive due to his awful upbringing. So the third psychological theory in this movie is defensive mechanism. During the psychotherapy session with Dr. Sean wanted him to open up to his past. However, Will uses his defense mechanism against Sean when he tried to open him up and try to let Will talk about his past. However, Will felt offended and he offend Sean. Moreover, when his girlfriend offers him help, he felt offended and he treats his girlfriend by using his defense mechanism to prevent the same thing happen during his childhood and to avoid emotional pain. Will also turned down the job interviews offered by Professor Lambu. This defense mechanism is also connected to the PTSD, which is the post-traumatic stress disorder, as shown by Will when he struggles with his problem from his imperfect childhood. This disorder may leave a long-lasting disastrous effects on one's mental well-being after experiencing a traumatic event such as bullying or abusing. As Will is a victim of a child abuse, Will become aggressive and violent due to the effect of PTSD. At the end, Will's life changed when Sean successfully opened Will's heart. Sean helped Will to free himself from the past of his pain by facing his inner own demon. Will begins to take charge of his own life. Eventually, Dr. Sean successfully helped Will, who was struggling to find his own identity, to find his direction in his life. So that's all for my sharing. Do you have any questions?
Yes. So just now you have mentioned about the nature versus nurture.
Yes.
May I know which one do you stand when shaping one's personality?
In my opinion, both nature and nurture plays a role in shaping one's personality. However, maybe the difference is like how much the extent, like how much percentage the nature and nurture plays a role in shaping one's personality. So, like this is similar to the investigation done by Raymond Cattell, where he compared the similarities between twins brought up in a family, twins brought up apart, non-twin siblings brought up in a family, and last one is the non-twin siblings brought up apart. So, according to his analysis, he found that the 1/3 of our personality is affected by the nature, which is the genetic, and another 2/3 is affected by the external environment, which is the nurture, in shaping our personality.
I see. Anything else? Very great presentation.
Okay, that's all for our presentation.
Thank you. Bye bye.